The store is Grandma's Spinning Wheel in Tucson, Arizona. And this is my daughter, Cassandra Burns. Hello.
So our first question for you is sort of what was your motivation to open your yarn store? And when did this idea first come about? What was that process like?
Well, I am a retired 8th grade science teacher. And my mother taught me to knit and crochet when I was about 8, which was decades ago. And then about, you're 39 now.
Yes, I'm 39.
39 years ago, I took a spinning class. And the store that I took the spinning class from was the only fiber art store in Tucson. So I was knitting and crocheting and spinning. And in my last year of teaching, I had a series of surgeries, actually, and my mother had passed away. So I kept thinking that it was time for me to retire from teaching. And the store where I started my spinning, and actually I took a floor loom weaving class there, she had long since closed her business. So I started thinking in my last year of teaching, I would like to open a fiber art store. And that was my goal when I retired. Then about a week after retirement, I went to get my hair cut, and I parked in a different place in the plaza than I usually did. And I looked up and the storefront was empty and it had a for rent sign on it. So I went home and I told my husband, I think I know where I'm going to open my shop. And he said, what shop? And I said, my spinning and yarn shop. And he said, oh, okay. And I said, I was going to look into it. I thought I would study it and, check out on the computer for about 6 months to find the feasibility of opening such a store. As it was, I did not spend the 6 months doing that. And it's a good thing, because if I had done that research, I would have never opened the store. Instead, I just opened it with blind luck.
And 15 years later, here we are.
Yes.
Well, that's one way to do it. There you go. Oh, that's an amazing story. I like how you just, pulled up in the parking lot, and it was fate, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Our next question for you, since your store has been open 15 years, congratulations on your anniversary of that as well.
Thank you.
What have you found to be the greatest joy of running the shop, and then the greatest challenge?
I'll start for me with the greatest joy, and then I'll let Cass address it. We have a wide demographic, but certainly an older demographic for the most part. And we have social knitting groups, and we're open late on Wednesday for late night social. And what has been wonderful for me is to see the number of people who have come in and honestly and seriously met their next best friend. And then they bring people back in. We have a community that is amazing. And we've lost some people from our community, and we have all shed tears with that. And we've had new members come and join our community. And I'm 74. And so for people my age to be able to come in, widows, especially, are able to connect with other women, and it is mostly women, although not entirely, connect with other women and feel that this is truly their home and they know they're always welcome here. And Cass?
Well, and I would definitely say the community is huge. I actually met my closest friend right after I got married 7 years ago. She started coming in here. For me, the biggest thing has been, I have a 5.5-year-old son, and he's grown up in the shop, and he has like 35 grandmas and 75 aunties. And it's just, it's rare for us to have just one-time customers. And I appreciate being able to make the connections that I have here. I mean, I find that to be pretty incredible. And at the same point, that is also one of the biggest challenges. Is it's always hard when we lose somebody who has grown to be a part of our family. I mean, there are women here and instructors here that have touched my life in ways that I never would have expected. And I feel their loss pretty deeply, pretty much every day, but it's really pretty incredible.
That's what we hear time and time again, is the community seems to be so strong in these shops. And hearing from you, like as the daughter of the shop owner, and like the experiences you've had growing up in the shop, and your child as well, like it becomes like a second home almost. Like,
oh, it really has. It's all encompassing sometimes, but it's also really pretty incredible.
all right, so let's get to the yarn, and we see a lot of it behind you. So for us, our question for you is, what goes through your mind when you're deciding what yarn to bring into your store? I know obviously climate probably has to be a big factor. Arizona, I imagine it's pretty hot down there.
One of the things that we have come to embrace are yarn tastings, because we may see a yarn that we absolutely love, and we're not sure how the community is going to feel towards it. So we have pretty frequent yarn tastings, which are a big party. We have lots of food and people get bags of yarn. We've modified it. We've got it down to a real science now. And we have people evaluate the yarns and discuss them amongst themselves. And it's always surprising to us how many of the yarns that we at first looked at and said, oh, that is just wonderful. And for various reasons, and I always ask that they give their reason for not liking a yarn, it gets panned. And then other yarns that we said, yeah, okay, it's nice, get rave reviews. And that's how we pretty much decide what we're going to bring in, is based on our actual customer comments on that yarn. And go
feedback. Well, and that's, we do find, again, like I was saying, that ease of care is a big one in our demographic, and the people who are here. It's a lot of grandmas making baby blankets that they don't want to have felt,
and a lot of moms, because we have also welcomed the real junior model into our shop, because we have both ends of the spectrum, and moms who just when they're looking at all the stuff of momhood, don't want to have to hand wash things,
but they want higher quality than they're going to find at a big box store. And that's
right.
I mean, what we look for is we look for quality, and we look for longevity. And our customers do. And then, you know, it very much also, there's a lot of people who really don't want 100% wool, because when it's 117 degrees outside, that's not really what you want to be touching. And so for us, our, you know, our prime making season is actually in the summer, because everybody's inside with the air conditioner. Nobody wants to be outside when you can bake cookies on your dashboard. So we do find that, you know, the fiber composition is a huge thing too.
And that goes into our next question about the most popular fiber content. And then going along with that, what type of projects? I know you mentioned baby blankets, but going further with that question, what else do you see that is popular from customer makes?
And I'm going to let Cass answer that, because she's up much more now dealing with the customers in the front. So,
I mean, we do find that for us, cotton and linen blends, we carry a huge selection of cotton and linen, bamboo also, and then acrylic and wool blends are definitely the biggest draws. Hands down, baby blankets are the biggest thing that we get, but we are also finding that lightweight summer, you know, top down tops are really popular. Right. Some shawls, but for the most part, it's either really tops or blankets are the biggest things that we're seeing right now. Those are the biggest trends.
And a lot of our customers are knitting sweaters and hats and mittens, gloves for their relatives who live in other parts of the country where they wear those things.
So talk about sort of what seems to be customer favorites when it comes to Universal Yarn and Rico design as well.
Uptown. Hands down.
That's what I was going to say.
The entire Uptown line. I have to say, especially Uptown Bulky, which we were sad to see go, but Uptown is hands down, flat out our bestseller from Universal. I'm trying to think. Deluxe worsted does well
for people who want a felt.
Yeah, for people who want a felt. And I'm trying to pull. I mean, we carry quite a bit of Uptown
pop sock bamboo
pop sock. Yeah, our sock knitters love bamboo pop sock. I actually had a lady come in on Saturday. Her mom lives in Sweden, and she bought one each of the bamboo pop sock multis to send back to her mom to make yoga socks in Sweden. So that's, yeah, absolutely.
And we got we just released some new colors in the bamboo pop sock multi.
Oh, yes.
We got it in as soon as it hit the shelves. We got one of the new colors in, it hit the shelves and immediately went back out. So that has definitely been big. And we just brought in bamboo pop in the DK size, and that's starting to move too. We've got people who are really happy that we've got that now.
Major.
Oh yeah. Major is another really big one. Again, it falls under the baby blankets, ease of care, but that's
that sells really well.
Yeah, Major has been a major favorite of everybody's for many years. We've had that, I think, close to 5-6 years now
since it came out.
Yeah, since it came out, and that's definitely huge for people making prayer shawls and lap blankets and baby blankets and everything else.
Absolutely. Major is one that it's just easy to care for, and we see a lot of blankets made from that one as well. And then I'm not surprised the bamboo pop and bamboo pop stock has done well considering your climate down there. Just
right,
much more fit to warmer climates for sure. And I say about bamboo pop stock, I like the look of the balls. I mean, they just, like, when they're on the shelves, I see pictures from the shops, it's just like it just draws my attention if I were to walk into a store.
Well, and that's, I mean, here, especially lightweight sock stuff is really important, and people love the texture. They love the colors. They love the solids. I mean, that's it. It is definitely one of our big ones. And that's I mean, we carry so much universal that unfortunately I'm having a hard time pulling out any of the other hit search.
Yeah.
Any of the others that we carry. Bamboo Bloom has always done really
Yep,
well for
and it's
us.
still doing well.
Yeah, we just recently sold quite a bit of that. Oh, and the clean cottons. Yeah, clean cotton has been huge also.
And Color Burst, you're finding.
Yeah, Color Burst is starting to really move right now. Again, because it looks a bit woolier. So this is the time of year that
Right.
they're really looking at it.
Oh, what about the fashion?
Fashion Modern Tweed is another one that we keep having to reorder. So, I mean, we have quite a bit from you guys. Radiant Cotton has been our best-selling cotton yarn, period. It's great for weaving. It's great for crocheting. It's great for knitting. We are finding that our weavers really love to use it as the warp, that it makes a fantastic rigid heddle warp. And Wool Pop is another one that has just done amazingly well for us. So we pulled up the list and found all of the things. Like, I'm looking at the names and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a universal also.
Yeah.
And boy, does that do well. So.
Absolutely. There's so many that you guys are mentioning that, like Wool Pop, the sheen that everybody seems to love about it, just makes it stand out. And then clean cotton, perfect for the dishcloths and the homeware items as well. We see a lot of stores love to carry that one because, it's a quick, easy project that comes in handy as well. Well, we're glad to hear how many yarns of ours that you have there. That's amazing. Thinking back 15 years ago, when you opened your store, what advice would you give to yourself? What would you say? Oh, make sure you don't do this, or make sure you do this, looking back?
Okay. When I opened the shop, I also had a whole bunch of beads because 50 years ago, I had the first bead store in Tucson. So I opened this on one half of what the space is now. And of that, I devoted, about 30% to beads because I still had a huge inventory of the beads that I'd had. And I figured the beads and knitting and crochet would go together. They didn't. And then my husband, a year after I started, no less than a year after I opened the business, came and joined me here. And he said, the beads have got to go. If you want to sell yarn, sell yarn. If you want to sell beads, but you can't do both. So I changed that. And then I also brought in fiber because we carry, and that's what's behind us, of course, our wall of fiber. We carry fiber for spinners and felters. So we have a large quantity of that. So it's kind of, my advice would be to limit your focus, to really focus in on what you want to do. And certainly having too diverse is not a good idea. The other thing that I would say, first and foremost, when my mom passed away, she left me the money that I could start the shop with. My husband and I are both retired teachers, so we have our retirement income from Arizona, and we're also getting Social Security. I did not have to live off of the shop. And so if somebody wants to open a business, they need to be able to figure out how they're going to live. And if you plan to live off your business when it's still just a fledgling, it's not going to work, because if you take too much out, there isn't enough to reinvest. And we have reinvested a lot into the business. It's grown exponentially. So that would be something that I would suggest to people, is they need to really have another source of income to begin with, because the chance of you making it with having to take out for your own living at first is not going to work. And especially now, we see so many LYSs closing. And even in Tucson, we've had a couple of local yarn shops close. So we're down to
One other.
And
All the rest, except for
Right.
one other shop, have closed in Tucson.
Right. We used to have 5 here. So the pandemic really did a lot of businesses in. But the other thing is, there are a lot of women my age who have opened an LYS, and at 74, 75, 76 are saying, okay, it's time for me to retire, and there's no one to take over for them.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's just good advice in general. I mean, about starting a business, you put that one in there for free, didn't you?
Yep.
I like that perspective as well. Just thinking about making sure, you have someone to take over the shop after you are ready to call it quits, and just having that plan. So it seems like you knew what you were doing. So
as it happens.
It worked out well for us timing wise.
Right.
I came here after my son was born, but prior to that, I actually worked in insurance. And I wanted the flexibility of being able to be available for my family. And then other things transpired that have allowed me to step up and allowed her to kind of step back in what she's doing and focusing on. And it's given both of us the flexibility to do the things that we want with our lives and our day. And my dad has taken a second retirement because I came in and took over, kind of what he was doing. So he gets to do what he wants as well. So it's definitely worked out well for us as far as that goes. But that was just a lot of happen chance and good timing.
Right.
All right. And I bet Arizona is a nice place to be, especially in the winter time.
Oh, yes.
As about 70% of our customer base can attest to, as a matter of fact. Yes.
So our next question for you, going back to Universal Yarn, is what's your favorite part of working with Universal Yarn? And then kind of to add on to that, have you guys used the trunk show program at all for your store? And if so, how has that experience been?
Let me start. Okay. And I'll have to say that our experience with the reps that we've had from Universal have all been positive. And Stephanie is the best. She is a wonderful person to work with. When I have any questions or Cass has any questions, we shoot an email off to her and she's back right away. And she'll either email or call. She was just here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Wednesday.
That's right.
Wednesday.
This week. Yeah. Or last week. Yeah. She is fantastic. The reps have all been wonderful. And then what were you going to add to that?
Well, I was going to say, for us, the way that Universal supported the LYSs during the pandemic
Yes.
was absolutely amazing. There were several of the major companies that stepped forward and really did what they could to help support us while we were struggling to stay alive. And the communication that Stephanie had with us during that time period and every effort that she put in, I mean, we couldn't have done it without the reps and the companies that we have, and Universal was definitely one of the bigger ones in that. Actually, we shifted focus from a couple of the companies that we had worked with to trying to showcase Universal specifically because of what you guys did for us. We have used the Trunk Show program. It was fantastic. We actually did it last year for our 14th anniversary. We had a couple of companies that we got trunk shows from, and we rotated them out weekly. And it was huge. I mean, it was definitely having that available is really big, especially when we're interested in bringing in newer lines and expanding the lines that we have, to be able to set it up and show our customers, you know, hey, these are the patterns, these are the yarns, this is what's available, was really big. And we definitely appreciated it. And it was so easy to use. I mean, we couldn't have asked for anything easier. As a matter of fact, you know, it was get it and send it back. And that was pretty fantastic.
And thank you for the kind words. You know, we put a lot of pride in supporting our LYSs. So thank you for saying all of that about us. Next up is for you guys at your shop. What does your day to day look like typically?
It can be slow one day and absolutely nuts the next. And I'll let Cass speak to that.
Organized chaos is how we generally describe.
Organized? Sometimes.
Well, somewhat organized chaos. So we do have two sides of the shop, and I'm on one side up at the front desk, and my mom is over on the spinning and weaving side. And so typically what we have are people who are coming in, and they're either in from out of town and browsing and looking to see just what we carry. Occasionally we have the very targeted, I need to get my needles and I'm putting blinders on because I don't want to look at all of the yarn. I'm getting my needles and leaving. And then we have the people who are interested in coming in and learning about spinning and weaving. And since we specialize in rigid heddle weaving and we have a full spinning wheel selection, they typically come over to the side that we're on right now to look at all of the things that we have to offer.
We also get a large number of people who come off the freeway, and we're not close to the freeway, but there's some easy access. People passing through town who are looking for a local yarn shop, and they come in and they say, wow. And then after they've spent some time here, they say goodbye. And if we ever pass through here again, we'll be sure and stop by. But we have a lot of people who just drop in literally off the freeway and drive the 10 miles, about 10 miles. To us, and then turn around, get back on the freeway and head out of town. We also have a lot of people who stop in for knitting or crochet lessons or help.
Or even just to sit and visit. I mean, it is not unusual to find 5 or 6 people sitting around the table, either getting lessons, asking for help, just hanging out and wanting to chat. So, you know, mostly on my side, what I have are the people who are coming in to browse. Over on my mom's side, it's the people who are hanging out and spending time in here. So it's, like I said, it's a little bit of organized chaos. I mean, we have a little bit of order to it, but mostly it's just a whole lot of people kind of converging, and that is very much a typical day for us. So, yes.
Do you find that most of the customers that come in know what they're looking for? Or do you get a lot of people that are walking around looking at everything?
We get a lot of people who are walking around looking at everything. One of the things that we do advertise is that we have a Ravelry station, and we do cater to a demographic that's not as comfortable with technology as my generation is.
That means a bunch of old people like me.
Yeah, pretty much. And so what we find are we have a lot of the older demographic who are coming in and saying, I have a vague idea, but I want you to help me find yarns, and I'd like you to help me find a pattern. And do you have books? And, the typical response now is, no, we don't really have very many books, but let me, sit down and help you navigate Ravelry. We'll find you a pattern. We'll get you needles. We'll get you yarn, anything you might need, and then come sit in at the table and get started on your project so that we can help you out as you're going. That's the biggest. Yeah.
And then do a lot of people come back and bring their finished projects to show off to you guys?
Yes. I have a section on our website that shows customer projects. And then we actually also have a bulletin board on the back wall that has pictures of the finished projects that people have brought in. It's not unusual for people to send us emails with the pictures, because we ask, we say, hey, will you bring it in and show it? Because
actually,
we'd love to see it.
More, we make them promise that they will show us that before they leave the shop. We almost hold them hostage until they say, yes, I'll show it to you.
Okay, well, it's not quite that bad, but yes. And that we take a lot of pride in what our customers create. Yes. And it's, everything from car seat blankets all the way up to beautiful beaded lace shawls. I mean, we love to see what it is. And we have lots of samples hanging up in the shop that we have used as a handy excuse to make something out of a yarn that we want to touch.
Well, and we also have a lot of customers who make things and then come in and say, do you want to hang this up until I have to send it off to somebody, or until I decide I want to wear it? So we have a lot of customer creations hanging as samples.
So we get a lot of repeats or people bringing their finished things in, because we take a lot of pride in what they do also.
So that leads me to sort of a question off of that is, let's say someone's traveling from California or Texas or something, and they stop by and they say, oh, I really like this store. Can I buy from this store even when I'm back in my hometown? How does the shipping and the online website work for you guys?
Well, we just before the pandemic hit,
literally,
I was doing some research to see if I could migrate our system over to a different point of sale platform that would support a website. And I actually found a point of sale system that specifies or works specifically with yarn stores and fabric stores. And so we signed all of the contracts, and about 30 seconds later, the pandemic hit and everything shut down. And all of a sudden, I found myself with a whole lot of time to get a website up and running and get all of our inventory on it. And so I took that time, and I also took advantage of having two nieces who suddenly were not in school. And I exploited the cheap child labor that they provided and made them count everything for me. And we went through and did a complete inventory, and I dragged everything online. And I would say over the course of 3 months, I got about 98% of our complete inventory online and weighed and up for sale. So we absolutely will ship things to customers. We have a seamless integration with shipping. And on top of that, we have drop shipping available for spinning wheels and looms from most of the companies that we contract with there. And I took full advantage of the drop ship programs that everybody offered for a while. And so I make sure to tell people who are traveling that they can absolutely go to our website, or if they're having trouble finding it, to give us a call and I will ship it to them. If they want it, I'm happy to sell it if I have it.
I want to add another thing about people coming in off the freeway. Frequently, when they come in, they say, do you have any things that are local, that are just typical to Tucson? And we are always delighted to show them the corner of our shop. We have an in-house indie dyer who works with all kinds of fibers and yarn. We have a number of people, including myself, who spin and sell our spun yarn. So we have a lot of things that they aren't going to find anywhere else. Actually, we have 2 indie dyers.
Yeah, we carry 2 local dyers.
Right.
But one is specifically in-house to us, and she's also one of our teachers. So we really like to highlight her stuff as much as we can. So we try to offer both the basics and super unique and niche things. And that's really what we have found, is that as long as we have a good mix of the very basic, like, this is what I'm going to go to that's easy to care for, that I can send to everybody in my family, and I'm not going to find this anywhere else.
Right.
That's what really has kept us, as a point of interest for people who are traveling.
Last thing we'll ask here is basically going along with your website and just your community in general. What type of events do you guys have going on? And for the month of December, I know a lot of people are in holiday mode. What sort of events do you have to give to the community?
We're going to have
you're having the fleece to fabric.
Right.
We're doing a 5-part workshop, starting with a raw unwashed fleece and taking it down to a final finished project that we're setting up. And then
Sandy's one of our teachers is going to do a holiday sock knit along that's going to be starting up.
Needle felting and ornament is going to be another. And then the big thing that we're actually doing, because we know that, for us, most of our customers are in that holiday crunch time. And so actually on December the 31st, we're going to have a party. We have a designer who is now local to us and that we are very good friends with. And we are going to be doing a in-house make-along mystery knit along with Lynette, and our
hand-dyed yarns,
and our in-house dyer is doing a special run of hand-dyed yarns for it. And so that's actually what we're really going to be working on promoting is, hey, it's after Christmas, it's time to treat yourself, and let's do something fun that's with our shop. So that's, we're focusing on the ornament making and really ramping up our lessons so that when people are running into problems with their projects, they can reach out to us and we can help them get everything finished before Christmas. That's going to be our main focus. And then actually one of the big things that we're doing for the first time ever, Tucson is a very large arts community. And we have a street fair that brings in hundreds of thousands of people over a 3-day course. Artists from all over the world really come and set up. And we are going to be setting up for the first time ever to try and really let people know what it is that we do at the shop. And so we're going to be bringing that to the overall community here. And so that's going to be our focus at the beginning of the month. In the middle of the month, it's really ramping up our lessons and making sure that we have teachers available to help. And then at the end of the month, it's, you know, hey, treat yourself. It's the end of the year. Let's do something really fun.
For sure. And I see on your website as well, you have a calendar available, and I see charity knitting here. So if you want to go into detail about that as well.
Yep, we do charity knitting. We host a charity knitting group twice a month. They focus on making things for the Linus Project. Occasionally they work with Youth on Their Own. And they're also known for making twiddle muffs for care homes for dementia patients. So pretty much if somebody has something that they want to work on that's a charity project, Maeve has a full thing of yarn, and we love to have them come in and sit and visit. We like to give them a place. It isn't, we don't do a whole lot other than provide a space for them to come in and hang out. And we are happy to do that.
That's amazing. Well, I think that's all the questions we have for you guys. If you want to add on to anything mentioned earlier, or if something's on your mind, feel free to do that. Otherwise, we'll just wrap it up here.
I think we did a pretty good job covering everything that we have.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure of mine to get to interview you guys and hear more about your community and your store. And sounds like you're doing amazing things there. So thank you for providing that to people.
Thank you for, helping support us and make sure that we have quality products to
Yes.
give to our customers. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that people look for, and Universal absolutely delivers. So thank you very much for that.
Yep.
And I enjoyed talking with you. So thank you.
Thank you.